What's up? I appreciate you being here. It's Tom. Hope you're having a nice Memorial Day weekend. Just been beautiful here in Minnesota, in the metro area at least. I've been making the most of that, so that's why this usual Sunday recap is a day late. Also, no podcast this week. There's the holiday, and I've got some other stuff I'm figuring out in the background. But get right into baseball. The Twins played a very competitive, tight series against the Kansas City Royals at Target Field this weekend, winning Friday and Saturday on walk-offs. Ty France blasting a walk-off home run on Friday, and then Brooks Lee getting a walk-off single on Saturday. The Twins lose in extras on Sunday. But, that Kansas City team, I feel like, is built specifically to win games like this. And, when you're at home, you want to win a series. You want to take 2 out of 3. But I feel like the way those games unfolded, I feel like the Twins, I don't want to say like extra credit, but an extra tip of the cap to the Twins for taking 2 out of 3 against, again, a team that is built very well to compete in these tight ball games. And Pablo Lopez went Friday, pitched into the 6th inning. Zebby Matthews got 9 strikeouts, but only pitched 4 innings on Saturday. Bailey Ober pitched into the 7th inning on Sunday. So the rotation continues to, for the most part, keep rolling. Again, the 2 walk-off hits from France and Lee, huge. The Ty France home run, that was so much fun. Apparently his first ever walk-off home run of his career. That was a lot of fun. Hit it into the Twins bullpen, and they were going crazy out there, and then they all attacked him in his post-game interview. These guys are having a lot of fun. This is a grittier Twins team, I think, than we've seen in a while, and I think they're having a good time together, too. So not a whole lot going on offensively Sunday, though. Yesterday, they were pretty shut down by Kansas City. So the Twins went 3-2 in this rain-impacted homestand. They split that doubleheader with Cleveland. Those are the only games they got in. Was a doubleheader. It's really hard to sweep a doubleheader, so it's tough to really say that they kind of let you down at all in that one. And then taking 2 out of 3. Overall, a 3-2 homestand isn't anything to really write home about, but again, it was kind of a weird with the rain delays, and they played through some bad weather in that Cleveland game, the doubleheader, excuse me. But again, and another thing about Saturday, as I have down in the notes, they scored 5 unanswered runs on Saturday and came back and scored against that good Kansas City bullpen. So fun to see them keep it rolling with the winning. Obviously, the winning streak has ended, and they're not ripping off 13 straight wins again or anything, but good to see them come home against good AL Central opponents. We'll get to that. We can talk about the standings now, so we can get to that in a sec. But I talked about this before, and I want to call it out again. This long road trip that they're starting this evening, 3 games at the Tampa Bay Rays, who are playing in Port Charlotte because their stadium's destroyed. 3 games at Seattle, so they go to Florida, they go to Seattle across the country and playing in 2 minor league stadiums, and I can't imagine those are very comfortable. They've tried to kind of take those both those Port Charlotte and Sacramento stadiums up a notch, but compared to your usual major league stadium, what they're used to, these teams have not been great at home, though. These 3 teams are playing. Tampa Bay and the Athletics actually have losing home records and winning records on the road. So they're also not very comfortable in these minor league stadiums that are being fitted for them. Seattle only has a 2 of above 500 by 2 games at home, which is not very good for a home record. So we'll see. But the Twins haven't been great on the road. They're 11-15 on the road. So I'm looking at that as kind of a test for the Twins and to see how legit this team is. Can they continue to play well on the road? And this long road trip is going to be a big test for them. But reference this earlier, you're not supposed to check the standings until today, Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. We can look at the standings. I kind of rolled my eyes at this concept in the past, but I think these last 2 years of the Twins starting out terrible and then getting on hot streaks have reminded me probably why this became kind of the saying, that you're not supposed to check the standings until Memorial Day. And I think maybe in the future I'm going to take this a little bit more seriously and try to stick to this because it does make some sense. Give it some time. It's a long season. Taking a look at the AL Central, man, this is a tight division with a bunch of good teams. You look at the AL wildcard there on the right, it is the Twins, the Guardians, and the Royals would all be qualifying as the wild cards with Detroit winning the division. So there would be 4 AL Central teams in the postseason right now if the season ended today, with Houston a half game out of the wild card race and Tampa Bay 2 back. Those are the only other teams above 500 not leading their divisions currently. So there is a look. Minnesota and Cleveland tied for second. Kansas City only a game behind them, so it's tight. Everybody's playing pretty well. Detroit is obviously playing amazing ball right now. Incredible stuff going on there. They have a 4-game advantage in the division right now, but of course, even though we can check these standings, there is still quite a bit of baseball to be played. Let's switch gears to the minor leagues and take a look at some hitting highlights, starting with Kaelen Culpepper, who had a big-time weekend. The Colonels played 4 games. They had a doubleheader on Friday and then played Saturday and Sunday. He was 5 for 13 and drew 5 walks, stole 3 bases. He's hitting .315 with a .420 on base and a .504 slugging. That's a .924 OPS for Kaelen Culpepper of the Cedar Rapids Colonels, at least for now. I think he's probably going to get promoted before too much longer. We'll see. Luke Keishel was promoted in late May of last year. That was a bit aggressive, but Kaelen Culpepper has been playing great, and he's having a lot of fun. Big smiles here from him. KC, the dude. And then Kyle DeBarge, his teammate, just keeps stealing. See here, he steals second. There's an error on that throw from the catcher. There's an error on that throw from the center fielder, and he scores all the way from first base on the stolen base attempt. He is now 24 for 24 on stolen base attempts this year in 38 games. In 64 career minor league games, Kyle DeBarge has 39 stolen bases. If you kind of extrapolate that pace out to a 162-game season, that's almost 100 stolen bases of a 162-game pace, and he's always dirty. He always looks like this. I love watching Kyle DeBarge lately. Mickey Gasper hit 2 homers in the second game of a doubleheader on Saturday. He now has 9 home runs in 21 games for the Saints, so he's almost hitting a home run every other game he's playing for St. Paul. For Mickey Gasper, he's hitting .346 with a .442 on base and a .741 slugging. That's an 1183 OPS in AAA for Mickey Gasper with a big swing there. That's been fun. So maybe he'll get some more opportunities. His catching buddy in St. Paul, Patrick Winkle, there, getting some tips from him. Like, how did you turn into Babe Ruth all of a sudden, man? Pitching-wise, David Festa returned. He had missed over 2 weeks with arm fatigue. They didn't really get too specific about that. And you see there down at the bottom, he only went 3 2/3 innings. But again, this is him kind of building back some arm strength. A 54-pitch outing. Threw a ton of strikes, topped out at 96.7. He threw 19 sinkers. That's the pitch that he's trying to develop, and he used that as his primary pitch. I said it before, I'll say it again. David Festa understands why he's in AAA and is doing a great job of developing that pitch. He looked great. I really think that spot that Zebby Matthews is in right now is David Festa's for the taking once he gets healthy. Darren Bowen threw 5 no-hit innings on Friday for the Wind Surge. He is having a great year. You can see his ERA and whip down there. The only run he allowed was on a steal of home. So very aggressive in a tight, low-scoring ball game. A tight, low-scoring, really quite a few games for Wichita in San Antonio there. But there's Darren Bowen completing his 5th no-hit inning. Came out from there. Marco Raya finally looked like Marco Raya, like the best version of Marco Raya. 4 perfect innings with 7 strikeouts, topped out at 97.4. Featured a balanced 6-pitch mix. And he got 6 swinging strikes with his curveball. So that was really great to see. He had been, struggling is not even the correct. He had been just god-awful up until this outing and looked great. Dasan Hill, he gave up a couple runs immediately in his outing, but then settled in and pitched pretty well. He got 6 swinging strikes on his changeup, which is obviously for any left-hander going to be a pretty important pitch. 19-year-old guy with a 2.12 ERA and 0.94 whip. 14.8 strikeouts per 9 so far for Dasan Hill with Fort Myers. He is looking outstanding. Really enjoying getting some looks at him, and he's got a presence on the mound too. Look how tall this kid is. He towers over his teammates here. Big, long, skinny dude, Dasan Hill. Have really enjoyed watching him so far. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Again, thanks for tuning in. This was kind of the usual Sunday video. No podcast this week. As a reminder, be back talking to you on Thursday, and then the podcast will return next week. So be on the lookout for that. But really appreciate you watching this one. We'll talk again soon.